let's introduce everybody to you.
Let's do it, bro.
I did this with Cole Sager. I did not introduce him as a CrossFit Games athlete. I introduced you as, this is James Sprague,
Yep.
who is a husband,
Yep.
a follower of the good Lord,
Yes, sir.
and then probably athlete.
Yep.
Is that correct?
That's correct. Those are my priorities in life. I would just say my faith comes first, my wife comes second, and my relationships and CrossFit and athletics come third. Those are my priorities. I get those things done in order in my day. I feel like I'm James Sprague. Everything else comes next.
And you had a big year in 2024. You got married.
Got married, man. It was right after the CrossFit Games, so August was indeed a packed month.
Like, you can't focus on a wedding if you're training for the CrossFit Games, right? So the wife knows, what's her name, by the way?
Her name's Danica.
Danica knows
Sprague. Yep.
that it's on her to plan this wedding, right? Like, you're not going to, like, what are you going to decide?
Yeah. Oh, man. I would say that she was also so busy, too, because she's a pharmacist. So she was in the process of, graduating pharmacy school as we're planning this wedding and getting her first big girl job and going through all these different applications and studies and things she had to do to get her licensing and be official. So like we were both packed in. So we both did as much as we could. But, happy wife, happy life. We did a lot of things that like she wanted, and she also gave me a lot of things from the wedding that I wanted. Like I got to plan the whole honeymoon, which I thought was super cool.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, it was legit.
So you guys got married in Coeur d'Alene?
We got married in Spokane Valley, actually very close to here, where we're at right now. And then we went to Hawaii for a honeymoon.
Boom.
All
right, so when did you meet Danica?
I met Danica 4 years ago. And originally, my cousins and her worked together in a south part of Washington, and near Longview, Washington. If anyone knows where that is, it's getting close to Portland, Oregon. It's on that southern border. And my cousins were like, "Hey, Danica, we have this cool cousin, and he loves the Lord. He loves CrossFit fitness. You should hit him up and send him a Snapchat." So she sends me a Snapchat, and we start building this friendship. And she actually asked me on the first date. And she was a lot older than me at the time, and still is a lot older than me. But I was 18, she was 21, and I was super intimidated by it.
Boy, James.
Yeah, and I was like, oh man, like this old hot chick wants to go on a date with me. Like, I'm doing something right. Like, this is legit. And so we go on a date, and I was obviously like, wow, she's really cool. But, I'm moving to Florida soon to pursue my CrossFit Games training under my coach's wing. And, I just don't know if this is the right thing for me right now. But ended up just, we tried the long distance thing, made it work for 2 years, and hallelujah, amen, got engaged, moved home, and have lived happily ever after.
That's pretty legit.
Yeah.
I didn't know she's a little bit older. That's good.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to have you move this down a little for the video camera.
Easy.
Okay. So you're 18 years old. You get snapped by your future wife.
Yep.
Which is cool. When did you know that you were going to ask her to marry you? You were like, this is the one. Like,
yeah. It came down to my faith for me, realizing like, what does God call us to in relationships, and what does he want us to do with our spouses and people we're dating and people we're pursuing? And, I was dating her unintentionally for about a year and a half, just like, oh, this is fun. This makes me feel good. It was kind of all for myself and my own personal pleasure.
Interesting.
And that's not what God calls us to in relationships. It's to serve the other person and lay down your life for them. And so when I started actually going to church and growing my faith in Florida, I realized, wow, I've been pursuing this the wrong way the entire time. Like, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. And it convicted me a lot. We were having a lot of premarital sex, and I looked at her more as, like I said, how can she please me rather than how can I please her? And when I completely flipped the script and read through the Bible and listened to God's word and prayed about it, I was like, this is the right option. This is the woman of my dreams. She is amazing. I love her soul. I love her heart. I love how she supports me. I love how I can support her. I love how we work together. And I realized it about 2.5 years into our relationship that like, this is what I'm called to, and proposed to her actually right after I got baptized after my 2023 CrossFit Games. So I needed to be right with God before I made a decision that God's going to be the center of. So that's how it went for me.
There's a lot to unpack there. I'm
For sure.
I'm going to ask just the good stuff, right? I'm going to get right to it.
Love
from what I've heard, and obviously, James, I've only talked to you a few times at the gym,
Totally,
right?
yeah.
And I always love talking to you. I told my wife, she's like, what's James like?
Yeah.
I was like, he will steal your energy. He brings so much energy to the room that if you don't have that, he'll rob you of your energy and just take over. She's like, really? I'm like, yeah, he's the guy. Like he's a vibe. So like, I love being around you, man. Like your energy is contagious. I don't think I've ever met anyone like it.
Wow.
Ever.
It's a huge compliment. Thank you.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So that being said, I don't know. You weren't a Christian, I guess, or
No.
you weren't, like you said, you got baptized like after the CrossFit Games in 23. Said the words premarital sex, which does like, that's like probably laughed upon.
Yeah, for sure.
This
In
day and age,
culture,
like, cause there's like this word I've heard, body count is a thing.
Dude.
And I'm like,
real.
Okay. But to keep it real, like I got married at age 27.
Okay.
I'm not a virgin at age 27. I'm just going to be honest with you.
For sure.
Okay, right? But, my wife and I were on a similar path that you were talking about where like, I was like, let's pump the brakes.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if we can shut it down until we're married, which is hard to do.
Very hard.
You know what I mean?
Especially when you've tasted how great it is. And, that's why physical intimacy, God's like, save it for marriage because it'll trap your mind and make you think that's the only important thing about a relationship, which it's completely not. If you build your foundation on that, you're cooked. You're not going to make it. That's not, it's not sustainable.
And no one thought James was coming over to talk about this stuff, but that's important, right? For maybe some kid out there or even adults to hear is like, so faith was not really part of the equation. What led to it being part of the deal?
Totally. Realizing that all my accomplishments and everything that I can achieve is fleeting. It's going to go away. Everything's going to go away. Me winning the CrossFit Games, I came up to my dad. I was just telling DJ in the car. I came up to my dad right after I won the CrossFit Games and I said, man, this is awesome, but it didn't fill me up like I thought it would as a kid. As a kid, I thought that winning the CrossFit Games was the end all be all and that it was going to be the thing that just made me me. And it didn't. And I realized, man, that's what Jesus is. He will define you and shape you and give you peace and love and a home. And that's what I crave. Not obviously gold medals and all these cool things and sponsors and accolades are awesome and they're super cool. But like God gives you those to spread his name.
I'm digging this conversation. I like it. So you got baptized after the CrossFit Games. Did you feel like that was your way of basically advertising to the world that, hey, I'm a new creation?
Yeah, it was. So baptism as a Christian and as a Christ follower is dying to your old ways and raising new life in Christ. Like your old ways, you're saying, hey, I'm going to put away my sin. I'm going to work on these things. I am going to try and live my life as Christ did, and will always fall short of that because he lived the perfect life and the only human to ever do that. But no, it wasn't necessarily all just for the world to see like I'm a new creation. And obviously it's really cool that the world can see that through baptism, but it was to show my my love for Christ to myself too. Like, hey, this is a commitment to yourself, a commitment to your church, a commitment to your future wife, your family, that you are going to die your old ways and you are not going to live that life anymore. Yeah. Yeah.
There's a little bit of obedience in there too.
For sure.
I dig that, man. Jesus was baptized.
Yeah.
I mean,
one of the first.
He lived it. And I think that's cool. I like the word fleeting a lot. Accolades fleet.
Yeah.
Relationships last when done proper, or they can be fleeting as well. And I think that for someone in your position, so young, so poised, I'm excited for you. And I'll give you an example. Alicia and I went to the CrossFit Games last year to like get away from the kids.
Yeah.
And like have a good little like fitness time and watch people compete, something that we've always loved, the sport of CrossFit. But we haven't been following CrossFit for years. Just sold the gym and just kind of like been there, done that, moving on.
Yeah.
So this is a long segue, but we're in Texas. And I remember Kevin Kester and I had become friends through elk hunting and CrossFit.
Yep.
And he had mentioned that you lived in Spokane. And I was like, James Sprague lives here? And he's like, oh yeah. And I was like, okay, whatever. So I just knew that you lived here. That was it. We're in Texas. We're watching the CrossFit Games. We know Cole Sager.
Yep.
We're going to root for Cole for sure.
Totally.
By the end of that weekend, man, I was rooting for you. And it was like you were a savage at the CrossFit Games. Not only competitively, But from a nerdy CrossFit angle, I was like, this guy knows his body and knows when to step on the gas.
Yeah.
Like there was like this one workout towards the end where like you held back
Mm-hmm.
so that you could sprint on the finish line on a nasty thruster workout.
Mm-hmm.
Same with this handstand workout. Tall guys aren't good at handstands.
No.
This is not right.
No.
And like
should have been my worst event at the games.
and
it wasn't.
and you were just getting points where you shouldn't,
Mhm.
and you were getting W's, and then you were getting camera time.
Yeah.
We're finally to what my question is. And I was like, the very first interview you did, I was like, that was the best interview I've ever seen, because as a Christian, watching another Christian confess his faith unashamed
Yeah.
and gave all glory to God.
Mm-hmm.
And in a time where that's probably not what some people wanted to hear, but that's what the world needed to hear, dude.
Boy.
Take me to your first, it must have been your first event win.
Yeah.
Where you got camera time in an interview. What event was it? And
Totally.
do you remember what you said?
100%.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, we actually had a competitor pass away in the first event of the CrossFit Games last year. His name was Lazar Dukic. And, just a bright, awesome, good guy. And so all of us go into, the rest of the competition with heavy hearts, and just a really different CrossFit Games for that reason, that we had a competitor pass away in the battle and in the fight. And that's never happened in CrossFit history. As it being a new sport, it was some bad was bound to happen like this, but we didn't think it'd be like this. And so he drowned in the first event. It was event 2. So day 2, they canceled the rest of the events for day 1 just to reevaluate, see what the right move is, the decision is to move forward. And
which there was not a right move to make.
No. It was going to, whether you chose to continue games or not, it was going to anger people. And so CrossFit, I think they made the right decision to let the athletes make the choice if they want to compete or not. And no harm, no foul. If you need to pull out and do your thing, like, respect. You do what you need to do. If you need to compete for your family because it's your income, for myself, like, this was my way of setting me and my wife up, respect. Like, you need to do what you need to do. And my reason for competing was exactly what I said after event 2 was, a righteous man falls 7 times, yet he rises again. Like, this is a really tough situation. I don't feel like competing and pushing my body to the max right now. I'm sad. I'm mourning this loss. This is hard stuff. You're in that warm-up area and everyone's bawling and hugging each other. And it's just like, what the heck, man? Is this a fever dream? And so I just wanted to share some hope that Lazar actually professed his faith to a fellow competitor months before the games, that Christ was his Lord and Savior. So for me, that's all the hope and insurance I needed to know that, like, Lazar's in a great place. He's in heaven. He's not feeling sad. He's not feeling shame. He's not feeling pain. He's in a hopeful, beautiful place. And heaven is everything and more we can ever imagine. And we won't even be able to know till we get there, God willing. Everyone that's hearing this hears about the gospel and puts their faith in Christ and is able to be there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, I just knew, for me, after hearing that I can continue forward in the competition because Lazar's in a better place, and that he's actually in a much better position than all of us, actually. Even as ironic as that sounds, not being here on earth, he's in a place of eternity where it's life-giving and fruitful and spirit-filled, and you're with God. And so, yeah, man, I tried to just share that hope that there's more out there, that there is eternity, and everyone can have that if they place their faith in Christ and just believe.
Yeah, man. I mean, that was the first real day of competition. You're getting camera time. Mm-hmm. You won the event or whatever, and you're like unashamed saying this bold stuff.
Yeah.
Which I love.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you could have glorified James Sprague in your interview.
There's no reason.
But you didn't, man.
Yeah, man.
I like that.
Yeah, thank you.
And you got, obviously, several more camera appearances, including the end, but, like, all that is to say, I became a fan of you by that time the weekend was over. I was like, this guy's built different.
Yeah.
Like, you were a savage competitor, like, seriously, but you were also, like, poised on your interviews and
for sure
rooted. And, like, I'm like, is he really only 20 whatever years old you were last year? It was like, it was incredible. So that was cool.
You.
The CrossFit Games comes and goes, right? You get married and all that stuff. But I want to dig in on, since I have the chance.
Easy.
Did you only win the CrossFit Games because of the programming?
Oh no, man.
It's gonna be right to it.
I love it. Great question. So a lot of people think they're offending me or asking me like a really like deep question when they're like, would you have won the games if there were more things? I'm like, dude, let's dive in. There were 2 more events that we were supposed to do at the CrossFit Games that year that would have made it a complete test, quote unquote, in people's eyes. And so those 2 events were 2 things I thought I could have really thrived at. And I thought it could give me even more of a lead if I got to do those 2 things. And, we'll never know until next year when I get to go prove it again. And whether I come out first or in 30th place next year at the games, or if I don't even qualify for the games, I know that's God's plan for my life. And I'm gonna rest in that. Obviously I'd be frustrated because I put in a lot of work, but I'll tell you what, the programming for me is starting to become less of an issue as I fill in these gaps in my training. I'm doing things every day in the gym to make sure that I don't care what comes up. I don't care if it's a bunch of short guy programming. I'm the tallest, for context, I'm the tallest guy in the sport, currently at the CrossFit Games.
Oh, how tall are you?
I'm 6'2".
Yeah, you
near
are.
6'3".
Yeah, you are.
And so,
and your dad's not tall.
no, he's not. I don't
Who's
know
your
where I
real
got
dad?
it. I can't tell you. It's secret. Illuminati.
Yeah.
It's so funny. So yeah, I just think that the more that I train with intentionality, the less I have to care about answering that question. Because I did go to Wadapalooza here a few months ago where there was a bunch of handstand push-ups and heavy weights and only 6 events. So if you had a weak score, it affected you a lot more than the CrossFit Games. And I came out there prevailing.
First place, folks.
Yeah, I won Wadapalooza with programming that, quote unquote, wasn't supposed to be for James Sprague. So I'm like, let's continue to do that. I don't even want to be mentioned as the guy that only thrives when there's running, rowing, and machines or, whatever it is that's aerobic and strength for me. Like, I want to be good at everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I signed up to be a CrossFit competitor is I want to be good at long and short workouts. I want to be good at gymnastics and weightlifting. I want to be good at, sprinting and endurance. I want to do it all.
Yeah.
That fascinates me.
At the games was an event called Chad
1000.
And you wore a Go Ruck.
50-pound Go Ruck.
Yep. It was 50.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So a backpack is different than a barbell.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I've done Chad with a barbell on my back.
Yeah.
Piece of cake.
Yeah.
But you put a backpack on, it just loads the spine differently. And then they stacked boxes so that you had to step up, step down, step down. Is that correct?
So it's like a 20-inch, 40-inch, 20-inch ground.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's pretty cool.
You won that by a long shot. It wasn't even close. What was your time-ish?
I was 43 minutes and like 50 seconds.
Ooh.
Second place was pretty close behind me. And then third place was a few minutes behind second. So it was me and Austin Hatfield, one of your guys, Bo Hunter, bro.
Yep.
And me and him will be going head-to-head next weekend, actually, at the Mayhem Invitational for those game spots. So exciting times ahead in our space. But yeah, that was a great event. My first event win at the CrossFit Games ever, which is a surreal feeling in front of that live stage on ESPN. You're like, whoa, dude, what dreams are made of right there.
So you suffered pretty hard for 43. Was that a piece of cake for you? What was the deal?
Yeah, it was more of, so Chad 1000 is to honor a fallen hero named Chad who actually took his life by suicide.
Yeah, Chad Wilkinson.
Yep. And his wife, Sarah, was there to kind of announce the workout for us, tell us the standards and to honor him. And CrossFit does a great job of that, like honoring our fallen heroes. And so it was a really cool opportunity, especially during that weekend when we had a competitor pass to just honor the fallen. And so I was like, man, like when you do a workout for someone else and taking yourself out of the equation, like just to honor someone, for me, it makes it so much more cool. Like you're doing something for a purpose. And I try and treat every workout like that for a purpose to like glorify the gospel. But yeah, I didn't, truthfully, that was probably the least painful event of the games for me.
That's insane.
It was just kind of like a flow. I was probably in a zone 2, zone 3 heart rate.
Yep.
It's just kind of like, for me, it was like tapping your feet and making sure you're like hitting your feet in the right spots and picking your feet up quick. But I never once felt like I'm going to die. Like this is so hard. And there was plenty of events at the games that year that made me feel that way, but that one was not one of them.
How'd you end up doing at the event at the track where you had to run a mile and then rest X amount of time and then do like this sprint medley? Like, what was your mile time?
My mile time there, and that was the third event of day 2. So obviously we'd done a lot of hard stuff coming into that. We're pretty wrecked already at that point. And so my mile time was a 5:06, pretty sure. And I know I have more in me than that if I'm fresh. Like I'm a sub 5 miler. But at that point, it was like good in the test. And then the sprint right after, I actually took third overall, which was
attaboy.
Yeah. So that was one of the events that I was like, oh, I think I can win the games this year, potentially. Like,
That's kind of when it started to click.
Yeah, like, oh, okay, I'm doing good at things I shouldn't be doing good at. At that point, up until that point, everything that was programmed was good for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first thing that was programmed. I was like, question mark. What am I going to do? And at that point, it was my best finish, a third place. I had a sixth, a seventh, the fourth, or I think it was a 10th in the mile. The mile actually was my worst score to that point. And then I get a third in the sprint. And I was like,
interesting.
This is cool.
Yeah.
So momentum kept eating it.
So the last event of the 24 games, I can't remember the particulars, but we're rooting for you by this point. Like, you got a chance to win. But old boy Brent Fikowski had put himself in a position, and he's a veteran, right?
Totally. I think nine years at that point.
What's his nickname?
The Professor.
And why did they give him that nickname?
Because he's so methodical with how he paces workouts and uses his structure to his advantage. And he's my same height. So he was the other tall guy in the field, me and him. So we should do good at the same things, right?
Now, he's got a heck of a lead on you going in the last event. Like, do you know what the spread was?
42 points.
Okay. He's not going to he won't listen to this, fortunately for us. Like, dude, it's in the bag.
For sure.
He's just got to crush it. Now, what was the workout? Because I'm telling you, you had a plan from the word go. Maybe it was your own plan. Maybe a coach told you. I'm thinking it's you at this point, that late in the games, where you're like, I got to do me. But like, first couple minutes, it's not like, if you're like announcing it, your name's not being mentioned. You're not even in like the contention to win. And by the end of it, what was the event? It was so cool.
Yeah. So it went, for those of you who understand CrossFit, know these movements, it was 24 thrusters, 24 chest to bar. We carried a yoke across the floor, 21 thrusters, 21 chest to bar. Boom. That's score one. And it was at 95 pounds for the men, 65 for the women. So that was a sprint, complete sprint. Your cycle rate mattered. Quote unquote, a short guy event because cycle rate mattered. And the short guys.
That's how far the bar travels, guys.
Yeah.
It's like,
how quick can you do a movement? If you have to squat further down, your movement's going to be a little less fast. Me versus Dan doing a squat is going to look a little different.
Yes, sir.
Same thing as me versus Dan on a rower. I'm going to be able to pull and get more, better stroke rate out of it because I'd have a longer stroke. And so the sport will advantage and disadvantage your height in some ways. But if you think about it like that, it's a disadvantage. So never, if you're a tall guy or a short guy getting into the sport of CrossFit, don't let your height define what you can do. So then finish that sprint up, the 21, boom. I take a 5th place in that event out of 30 guys. Brent takes a 8th, 9th, 10th, or 11th. So I got some points in that one.
What's the gap of rest after that sprint?
We had about 4 minutes.
You have 4 minutes. Okay, so did you have to do everything unbroken?
Oh yeah, it's unbroken sprint. If you take 1 second to take a breath, you're losing that event. You're not anymore relevant if you take any bit of.
What was the thruster weight?
The thruster rate was like, I would say you were doing one every 1.5 seconds.
What was the thruster weight for the 24 and the 21?
The weight. So the weight was 95 pounds. So for us, that's like a lightweight. And this was event 9 and 10 of the weekend. So we're crushed, but like still it's a weight you can handle no matter what. And then we go rest for these 4 minutes. And I don't even realize where I'm at that like, wow, like if I finish just a little bit ahead of him, I'm winning the CrossFit Games. I didn't realize that in the moment. It was more just like, okay, execute, do what you can, and conserve your energy for when you know you need it most. And this next event was 18 thrusters, 18 bar muscle ups, which is a more advanced skill. Ooh. Carry a heavier yoke across the floor, 15 thrusters, 15 bar muscle ups at 135 for the men. So this is a heavier thruster weight. After we just did 9 prior events and a sprint right beforehand with a 4-minute rest. So we're all like, whew. I knew going into that people were going to try and be heroes and do something special. It's the final event of the games. You can kind of guess like people are going to take a risk if they need to, where I'm already like, man, I've secured a good spot. I beat my goal. I wanted to be top 10 and I was already secured top 5 at that point. So I was like, man, like, let's be smart about this one and just not mess anything up. So I was really smart. I broke up early. I wanted to make sure I had the finishing kick and not do anything that was quote unquote crazy or out of this world performance.
So like on the bar muscle up,
I split into 3s and people
from the word go.
From the word go. I split into 3s.
Who told you to do that? You just did
myself.
You just knew to do that.
I came up to my coach and I go, I'm going to do 3s. And he said, okay. Because we had the time to rest in between the events. And I just remember like one of my guys that was supporting me was like, 3s? Uh-oh.
Yep.
I hope that works for him. And my family's freaking out because I'm way behind on this first 18. But then I come up to this set of 15 and I'm like, I'm hopping up to this set of 3 a lot quicker than the guys next to me who are going to hop up for their 6. And I'm getting back on this bar quicker and quicker. My rest times are decreasing while theirs are increasing. I saved the energy for when I needed it most.
It was crazy, dude.
But you have to know that as an athlete intrinsically, you have to trust that, because a lot of people are going to get on that floor and go, I'm getting beat in the beginning of this event, I'm just out of it. You have to trust that your plan is going to get you to that finish line faster. Even if in the first initial, 2/3 of the workout you're behind, that 1/3 kick in the end is going to matter a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not about who does the event more sexy or who has the most camera time. It's who crossed the line at the finish. And I didn't have camera time in that final event till the very last thrusters, because I wasn't even close to the other guys till I got to that and actually beat them to the bar. And it was totally a God thing, because if I was 10 seconds slower on that event, I wouldn't have won the games.
That was the difference.
10 seconds. Yeah.
So you ended up getting first place overall.
Overall. Yep.
Brent was first before that back-to-back sprint.
Mm-hmm.
Is each event worth 100?
Each event's worth 100. So it was 1,000 total points for the CrossFit Games that year.
Where did Brent end up?
He ended up in 3rd. So he had a 11th place in event 9 and something like a 11th to 15th in event 10, that thruster sprint. So he tried to do something special, which is honorable. He's like, he wanted to hold on and do something crazy and finish with a bang. And I think that adrenaline and pressure maybe got to him. I don't know. I still haven't talked with him about it to this day. I know he's a freaking amazing competitor. I mean, you cannot look at a podium at the CrossFit Games lightly. You can't even look at a top 10 and be like, that's a bad finish. Like, a top 10 is an incredible finish, no matter who you are. So,
you guys are all freaks, man.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your training today.
Yeah.
But before we do that, just want to go back. I know you have a cool little snippet story of how CrossFit kind of saved your life when you were at a pretty vulnerable age.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us about how you got into CrossFit.
Yeah. So believe it or not, I was actually an overweight, depressed kid. From 8 years old to 11 years old were like 3 really dark years in my life. My parents just got divorced. My dad's in rehab for alcohol. They're both unhappy. So me and my brother are both unhappy. I really put my sadness into food and eating. So I got really overweight. I didn't really have friends. I didn't really have hobbies. I kind of just melted away. I was never sleeping. I was just a scared kid, and I was scared of the world and what I was going to do and who I was going to become, and just no purpose or passion. So I saw my dad go into a CrossFit gym as he was getting sober. It was one of his avenues to get sober and work hard and come out of this dark place in his life. And I realized, I'm like, man, I can relate to my dad a lot. I'm in a dark place. I need to get out of this. Maybe I should go try CrossFit. And I go into this gym and I'm kind of stubborn about it. This probably isn't my thing. This looks like a bunch of meatheads. I don't want to do that. I do a workout, completely changed my perspective. I loved how I felt after. I hated how I felt during. It was the worst feeling ever. So if you're trying CrossFit and you're in pain during it, good. You're in the right spot.
Yep, you found it.
Yep, you found it. Good. So I get done with that workout and I'm like, I need more of this.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful. I love the suffering. I love how it made me feel. I love the confidence I got when I finished that last thruster. And every time I jumped over that bar for the burpees, I felt invigorated and excited. And I wanted more of it. So I just never turned back from that day forward. And I lost the weight. I started eating right. I made the CrossFit Games as a teenager. I was one of the fittest teenagers in the world at the time.
Okay, time out. When did you start? How old were you?
I was 13 years old.
So by the time you're 13, deconditioned, overweight, depressed, insecure kid.
Yeah.
When did you hit the CrossFit Games for teens?
15.
So in 2 years.
Yeah.
Tell me about the transformation, just the stats. What did you weigh? What was your body fat? Ish.
Yeah.
Because I saw a picture today on CrossFit Games' thing. You got abs at the CrossFit Games when you're 15.
Totally.
You don't have abs when you're 13.
Totally.
You're like a little video game playing depressed kid.
Yeah. I lost the weight 12 to 13 years old. That transition of when I'm coming into CrossFit, I changed my diet. I started reshaping my priorities.
Hey guys, we interrupt this podcast to let you know about one of our awesome partners, blackovis.com. It's where I buy a lot of my own personal gear. We have a discount code. It is ELKSHAPE. It will take 10% off. They have fast and free shipping on orders over a certain amount. They have great customer service if you need a return exchange. Been partnered with them for a long time. So if you're making some purchases, throw that discount code in there. Save some loot. They have a vast variety of not only hunting clothing, backcountry gear, as well as archery. Head over to blackovis.com. Use that discount code. Back to the pod. Hey guys, interrupt this podcast to tell you about our partner, Black Rifle Coffee Company. This is a veteran-ran company. Evan Hafer established it in 2014. And if you're like me, coffee is life. Well, we have a discount code for you, ELKSHAPE20. Throw that in at your checkout. Maybe you want to get some new swag, some hats, RTDs, or of course, coffee. You can also check out their subscription where you can dictate the types of coffee and the cadence delivered to your doorstep. You'll never run out of coffee again. Black Rifle Coffee Company, discount code ELKSHAPE20, proud sponsor of ours. Hey guys, Dan here. We're going to interrupt the pod to tell you about ELKSHAPE Training. This is a workout program dedicated to hunters, built by strength and conditioning elk hunters. That's right, I write all the programming. There's 2 tracks, the Hustle track and the Limitless. Hustle track is for those that have minimal equipment, and then the Limitless track is for those that have full-on access to a gym. Both paths lead to the same goal: you more fit, more successful, and a better trajectory for more elk hunting years to come. Separation is definitely in the preparation when it comes to fitness, and it's a huge advantage to be fit, and it's easier to stay fit year round. Our program is periodized so that you are peaking right before September gets here, and we have a complete off-season and preseason program. Head over to elkshape.com, check out ELKSHAPE Training. It is month to month, pay as you go, stop when you want. Back to the pod.
And so before I found CrossFit and when I was overweight, I was 180 pounds as a 5th and 6th grader, which is big for a 5th or 6th grader. Big. I think I weighed 186 on my biggest day ever. I remember seeing the scale and I was like, oh, what am I doing? But I didn't take any action to change that. So take some responsibility. There's going to be consequences, dude. And so 186, 5th, 6th grade, 9th grade, I'm about 140 and I grow about a foot taller. So I lost the weight, I grew about a foot, hit puberty, started changing my diet, started doing all the things right. And so I lost about 45 pounds in four-ish years. And I also grew a lot. So turned a lot into muscle. And one of my big problems was under eating, because I thought oh man, I don't need to eat as much to be fueled and I can lose weight quicker. And so I actually faced almost an eating disorder too, because I was so tricked into thinking less is better. Yeah. When in reality, it's just quality is better. Eat quality foods. Those are gonna make you feel good, and you're gonna get more muscle from that. So I went through both waves of being way too overweight and then being pretty dang skinny and seeing my ribs and stuff. And now I'm in that perfect spot of I know where I need to be in homeostasis and keep this muscle on and feel good, which is right around 207, 210 pounds from here out.
Oh, you are just over 2 a little bit.
Yep.
Okay, so CrossFit Games at age 13?
Yes, 15
or
for the first time. Yep.
15. How many teen CrossFit Games did you go to?
I had two teen CrossFit Games, 15 and 17. My 16-year-old year, I busted my knee. I was putting a lot of my worth at that time, which is a totally separate conversation, in how good of a CrossFitter I was.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Pretty tough lesson to learn.
Oh, yeah.
There are people that are in your sport right now that are guilty of that right now.
Yeah.
And you're not one of them.
No, because when people do that and they have a bad finish, it affects how they treat people. It affects their marriages. It affects their other hobbies. And so for me, when I have a bad finish or something goes wrong, obviously I'm mad, right? I love doing this. I want to be the best, but I'm not going to let it affect how I treat you, Dan.
Sure.
I'm not going to come in the room and be like, I had a bad day of training and I don't want to be friendly. Yeah. That's what happens when you put your identity in something. It affects all the other areas in your life. And that's because it's eating at you if you don't do well. And it used to eat at me. So I'd go in and have a bad gym day. I probably shouldn't hang out with people after. I'm not going to be fun. I'm going to be pissed off. That is a big, hard lesson I had to learn as a upcoming teenage athlete. Is oh, that's a dangerous game you're playing.
So 15, 17, mm-hmm. And then was it 23?
It was 20. So I'm currently 22. I made it back when I was 21. I made it back and I won the CrossFit Games at 22. So I had a 4-year gap from teenagers to individual because it's so hard to get the strength to become an individual.
Oh, yeah.
And, I was cleaning at 17. My max clean was 315. If I wanted to make the games, I should probably be able to clean 365.
Yeah.
If I am if I had the aerobic numbers pretty down, like I could run a fast mile and do good on the rower and the bike, but my gymnastics and my weightlifting had to elevate a lot.
Yeah. I'm up to speed.
Yep.
2023 semifinals. No, 2024 semifinals.
Okay.
So Alicia and I decided to watch that since we were already going to the CrossFit Games and like, let's see who the hell's like competing. We don't know. And I'd seen you on some, maybe it was a Buttery Bro type video or something at Wadapalooza. And I remember just thinking, that guy's got a lot of energy and a great attitude. Yeah. That's kind of that was the vibe I got on that video. So then I watched you at semifinals, and I just feel like that was your performance at the semifinals makes sense because you took that savagery right into the CrossFit Games. James, you crushed. What place did you get at semifinals?
I was third. So that was my first podium ever as an individual.
But dude, every event in there. Because we watched them all. We're trying to root for Cole to make it to the CrossFit Games, which he always likes to wait to the last event and squeeze in. But like, dude, you were a savage at semifinals and no one saw that coming. I bet you weren't on anyone's radar. Did that start to awaken the self-confidence and the belief of like, oh, I belong here, or were you still not sure?
No, I knew I belonged at that point. I think that competition was bridging the gap. And I'd realized some of the scores I was putting up in training and what I was testing these times out as. And I was like, you know, you got to just believe it now. You're doing it in training. Now go do it on the freaking floor, dude. There's a lot of athletes in our sport who can do incredible things in these online qualifiers in their own gyms, in their own protective little box. But a lot of our sport is performing on a floor when conditions aren't ideal for you. You know, you don't get to do the workouts at your own times. You don't get to, you know, have your own warm-up stuff and equipment. You know, you're at the will of the competition. So how can you adapt to those factors? That's a big part of being a CrossFit competitor. And a lot of people haven't figured it out yet. It's something I've learned to figure out.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the day in the life of James Sprague. So
let's do it.
What time did you wake up today?
Today I woke up at 7 a.m. The usual typical time, 7 to 7:30, usually right around 7:15. I like getting more sleep because it makes my gym days feel better. I would wake up, you know, when I'm done being an athlete, I'll wake up at 5 a.m. I like attacking the day early. I like having those hours. But for me right now, it makes more sense to have more sleep. I will get up. I will get in the ice tub. I'll do devotional. Pretty much first thing. It's Bible or ice tub. And so one of those two things, do something hard to start my day is the premise of it. And then I'll have breakfast with my wife. We'll hang out. We'll just have some laughs together, talk about the day, talk about, you know, what we want to do and who we want to be, what we want to do with our future. Just, you know, just
love it.
Wifey talks. Then I'll go to the gym from usually 10 to 4, 10 to 5, depending on the season. In the game season, it's usually like a morning session, which will be 2 hours. Then I'll come home, have lunch. An afternoon session, come home, have another lunch or meal, evening session. So right now I'm not doing that because it's not game season. I'll do that for about 2 months, which is as long as my body can sustain the 3 sessions.
Oh, gosh.
But right now it's just, you know, I'll hang out at the gym, knock out my pieces in a 6-hour window. And I love it. It's where I want to be. It's where I feel like I'm called to be. So to me, it's not a job. Of course, that's the way I make my money and my sponsors pay me to be an athlete and all my content comes from the gym. But it is, to me, it's so easy because I'm like, man, I love this. I wouldn't want to be doing anything else right now. So yeah, that's my schedule. I come home after that. Wednesday nights, I go to a youth group and I lead some high school boys and some ministry stuff. And then Sundays are a full rest day for me. Thursdays, which we're recording this podcast today, are an active rest day. So I'll go for a run and I focus on my business, Next Gen Performance, which is helping athletes from all around the world train smarter, move better, live longer in their sport, mainly CrossFit, but I coach athletes in different sports too, just in all things fitness.
That's an online biz?
Online biz.
Next Gen Athlete.
Next Gen Performance.
NextGenPerformance.com.
No website currently. Just
at
Instagram.
Okay.
Go shoot us a DM if you want to join in. Okay. We got template programs. We got one-on-one coaching. We'll hook you up. We got what you need.
All right. Let's talk about the business of CrossFit.
Sir.
So
a lot of people don't know this. This is a really good conversation to go into.
Okay. Who was your first legitimate sponsorship?
Okay, my first paid sponsor.
We got to give them some love if you're still with them
Oh,
too.
for sure. Yeah. So this sponsor was Elite Fuel, and they're a company based here out of Washington. Awesome people, clean products, super great. They were my first legitimate sponsorship, along with a brand that I'm still with today, Element 26, which is a gear brand, belts, tape, grips, you name it, all the gear to succeed in the gym. And so those were my first two, like, bridging the gap sponsors. Not like crazy pay at all, but it was like, I'm paid to do this now. I got to take this more seriously.
Yeah.
So that's where it started about 4 years ago.
Okay. Have you got to pay your taxes from 2024 yet?
In the process of it right now.
Have fun with that, homie.
Oh, dude, it's so fun. So fun.
What was the prize purse for first place?
Just prize purse this year was $320,000.
So you're rich.
Honestly, no. We put it into a house and Danica's pharmacy loan, so we don't have any debt to pay off.
That's legit.
That's richness. That's richness to me.
$315K ain't the same like it was 10 years ago.
No.
I mean, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I'll tell you what, though. It helped us get ahead of the game. For me being 22,
yeah,
I feel very, very blessed. I mean, I told DJ this in the car when a guy followed me around with the camera, one of my buddies. But, I wanted to use 10 to 20% of that, of the prize earnings, to buy myself something I wanted and feel like this is a token of your hard work.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got myself a new car because I was driving my dad's car around.
Oh,
and I was like, I want to reward myself a little bit, but then the rest needs to be smartly invested or put away or pay off loans or pay off debt, whatever it is. So yeah, that side of it, the prize money is never guaranteed though. So I don't consider that part of my income.
It's not, man.
Yeah, it's not. The sponsors are a guaranteed income. My business is a guaranteed income. The prize money is a bonus. So I don't count the prize money as my yearly income. So last year I did not make $320,000. Like I look at that as
no doubt.
That's a prize. Like that's a gift.
The government made some.
They did. Yeah.
And so Austin Hatfield has an agent. I thought that was a great idea because, Austin's a cool dude. He's like, straight up, man, I'm not a negotiator. I'm not good at, he's not even that good at social media yet.
Totally. He's getting there.
He's getting there. And he's like, I got an agent. I'm like, that's great. Because his agent kind of like says, hey, he'll do some things for you guys and build your brand. However, training comes first.
Yes.
Do you have an agent?
I do. Yeah,
nice.
His name's Bijan, Ripple Sports. He helps with NBA guys, NFL, CrossFit's his big passion. CrossFit doesn't make him the buku bucks, I would say, because he has NFL and NBA guys. But he's a great dude, one of my really good friends.
Oh, legit. How long have y'all been working together?
About a year and a half now.
So before Get CrossFit Games victory, then he invested in the right guy. So he's negotiating on your behalf, which is great. And then he's also making it abundantly clear that, hey, you have a job to do before you help these companies and promote them.
Totally.
So, go ahead.
Like we were on the phone yesterday, and the Mayhem Classic's coming up, my qualifier, and we're talking about these new brands and deals that could be coming up and whatnot. And he's like, you need to go focus on crushing this first before we have these conversations. You only get to have these conversations with brands because you're doing well and you're crushing it. So let's turn off the business mode for a sec and you do what gets you the business first. Now, there's times where like I won't have a competition coming up for a while, so we can focus on the business conversations. But like there's times and places to be signing and times and places to be just head down, being an athlete and making yourself better. And I think that's what a good agent does. They realize like where's the fruit coming from? Coming from me being good at clean jerks and ring muscle ups and biking. So go do that first.
Do you remember our conversation at the gym we had about, and this isn't the funnest thing to talk about, but I was expressing to you that, hey man, some of the best companies I work with, the biggest, best deals I have, they ask the least of me.
Yep.
Almost to the point where like, I'm just trying so hard for them.
Yeah.
And they're not asking for anything really in return.
Yeah.
And then it can do the inverse. You'll have these smaller companies that, man, they don't have a big budget and like, they're really gambling by spending money on you. And then by default, they go to this laundry list of deliverables that's quite overwhelming.
Totally.
And it's just like you get to a point where like, man, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. Do you have that? Like, have you felt that?
For sure. Yeah. And like the smaller companies, it doesn't mean I don't like working with them.
Absolutely not.
It just means, like I signed with them for a reason.
Yeah.
I love them. I think they're great people. I love what they're representing. But yes, it is a lot more work. And it is interesting how that works. Like it definitely have that. I have a very wide portfolio right now that I'm trying to narrow down of like, okay, I have, let's say I have 10 sponsors, right? My bottom 3 sponsors, the least pay, I probably do have to post the most for, which is very interesting when you look at it. And people probably would be like, oh, James posts 4 times for this person. They probably pay him a bunch. And you thought wrong.
Yeah. It's usually the opposite.
Totally. And so to me, it's not, it's becoming to a point where like, if I have to be posting so much where it's taking away from how good I can do and perform, it's not worth it to me. Because I will actually end up making more in prize money if I take in less sponsors and have less stresses outside of training. So it's finding that balance. How much can you take on with still being the best athlete? There's been points where I do too much with Next Gen and too much sponsors and too much outside of my gym life that my gym life suffers. And I have to keep my gym life a priority or else none of it will work.
I'm glad you know that and recognize it. And it is a struggle. Like it's a balancing act. And I don't expect you to have it perfected.
Yeah.
But I think you got a pretty good head on your shoulders, man. Yeah. And I think you understand that you genuinely only need to work with brands that you don't have to go out of James's way to get them content or whatever they're asking for, that it just naturally fits into what you're already doing.
For sure. And it doesn't mean that you can't have fun and like do some skits with your wife. Like me and my wife love making content at the house with Jocko Fuel products. We're like, man, like this is so fun to like make this silly skit and whatnot. And it gets great interaction. But like, then again, they're also supportive. I'm like, I just need to, do my workout and integrate it with my routine. Those are the best kind of sponsors. So like I love when a brand understands like, hey, you can't always do this really cool, fun stuff. You gotta be dug in.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. Jocko, great guy.
Totally.
When did you sign with him?
I signed with Jocko Fuel this year, and they were a great partnership for me to sign with. We resonate a lot with each other, and big mantra for their brand is discipline equals freedom. And let's talk about that for a sec, because
please,
I think that mantra is so cool to me for so many reasons. Like my whole routine is all about discipline, and can I stay in this routine? And can I do hard things over and over and over and over again? What is it they say? It takes 10,000 hours to master something, right?
Yeah.
If I do the math, have I done 10,000 hours of Metcons yet? No, I don't think I have. I've been doing this for 10 years. I don't think I've done 10,000 hours of Metcons. I don't think I've done 10,000 hours of a snatch or a clean jerk. I have plenty of room to grow. It's been 10 years. And that's wild from someone that just won the games to hear too. Like, oh no, I got a lot of work to do. But yeah, signed with them recently. I love what they're doing. I love, the kind of people they have on their team. And that's what I look for in a long-term sponsorship is people that are going to support your mission and believe in your mission and resonate with your mission. And then it becomes real easy to promote. It's just second nature. I don't even feel like it's work when it's that kind of brand.
Yeah. No, that's cool. So Jocko and we have a little bit of history. Like
super cool.
I remember a buddy of mine, Josh Potter, said, hey, have you heard Jocko, this guy named Jocko's podcast? So I don't know what year Jocko's podcast came out, but it's a long time ago.
Yeah.
Like his pod's been out longer than this one. And this is year 8 for me. So I think we'll probably say 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, who's Jocko? Is that his real name? And he was like, yeah, you got to check him out. So I listened to one of his pods and then I bought his book.
Yeah.
And I read his book and I was like, damn, this is like, I'm a very disciplined human being, James, like to a fault, to where like my friends and family like make fun of me, how disciplined I am.
I'm not
it makes other people feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
When you're as disciplined as you need to be, you'll make other people feel uncomfortable about their habits.
Totally.
And I'm not perfect.
No.
But I'm a disciplined MFer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And
yeah, buddy.
I'm reading in his book and I'm loving it. And I'm like, God, I'd like to meet this guy someday.
Yeah.
Fast forward a few years later, he's at a total archery challenge event on the mountain, hanging out with a mutual friend of mine, John Dudley. I'm like, walk up to those guys, start talking, hit it off. And then I see him every year at a couple archery events. And this is Jocko, man. And he's just blowing up. And then ran into him at the CrossFit Games last year and we talk hunting. We don't talk discipline. We don't talk fitness. We talk about elk hunting. He's a huge bow hunter. And then this year he helped me out with the December Chub Challenge, which is like this little fitness challenge we've been doing the last 4 years where he like comes in and does his Jocko thing and gets people all amped up for the week. And he provided the workout stimulus, which was, I think it was just 3 minutes max burpees every day in the heart of winter.
Yep.
Because December sucks around here. How many Decembers have you experienced in the Northwest? Enough,
too many.
Right?
Ugh.
And you're not from Spokane originally, right?
No, I'm from Seattle area, but it's a little warmer in Seattle area. So I actually like it better over here because it'll snow instead of rain.
Yeah.
I'll take it here.
I'll take snow over rain all day.
Totally.
But my point is, like, Jocko's is such a good dude. Like, I think that's such a big W for your brand and his brand.
Yeah.
And you're so young. Like, you're at 22. You have 8 more years of CrossFit minimum at the highest level, potentially even more.
Yeah.
You might even be creating a new mold, James.
Yeah.
You ever thought about that?
It's wild to think that I do have 10 more years and how much the sport can change. And me and 2 other competitors actually got to go do this open announcement live in New York 2 weeks ago. And a lot of people's comments were like, this is the new era of CrossFit. Like, it's these young guys coming in, the old guys are retiring. What we knew about the sport and what was possible is changing. These guys are redefining boundaries. And I'm like, yeah, I like being a part of that. That's one of my inspirations. I want to help this sport grow in a new way.
And you are.
Yeah.
And you are a brand now. You're not just an athlete. You're a brand. So let's talk about how do you plan on building your brand, James?
For sure. Yeah. Building a brand is interesting. I know I learn a lot from guys like you. Like, you have to have a niche. You have to be relatable. And you also have to have some sense of humor and relatability. So if you're just posting workouts and high level things that you're doing, that a lot of people can't do or relate to, you'll get some interaction. You'll be like, that's cool. That's really sick. Nice. But what if you post things that people in everyday life can do, relate to, or understand?
Yeah.
And that's how you build a brand to me. I'm starting to realize that brand building is authenticity. It's staying on your niche, but also find creative ways to, express that. Yeah.
And
so it's just really fun because, like, for me, if I'm to describe myself in a few words, it's discipline. It's, hard working, which are kind of the same 2 things. And it's just like, I'm bubbly. I like to get to know you. I want to know who you are, where you're from, what you're doing, what your mission is. And, I guess those aren't a few words. I'm going off on a tangent on who I am now, but, I guess I want to portray all of who I am with my Instagram, not just the serious side, not just the funny side, not just the things I do with my friends, not just the things I do in the gym. It has to be all encompassing, a human being, not just a human doing CrossFit.
No, I like that. Yeah, you are genuinely interested. Like, you're not going to walk into a room and not have James come up to you and, like, engage. Like, it's impossible. And I have this, like, I'll flip a mode. When I show up to physical therapy at your gym, I'm focused on how can I get my knee back to 100%.
Yeah.
And there's no, like, if I walk through the doors, you're going to say hi before I could even, like, get a word out. Like, you're so outgoing and interested in people.
Thanks,
that is legit, man. That's genuine.
Yeah.
Probably my favorite thing about you.
Thank you.
Like, you could be I'm a big deal. I'm a CrossFit Games champ.
Yeah.
I am training for 2025 CrossFit Games. I don't have time to talk to that short little knee rehab boy.
Gosh,
you know what
whatever.
I'm saying? But, like, I love that about you, man.
Yeah.
Like, you'll drop anything and everything you're interested. I think that's cool.
Yeah.
Now, how do we build this brand of yours going forward? Like, you said Instagram, you said Snapchat. DJ's here. Cool dude from LA, moved up. Could help you build your brand. YouTube, man. You know I love YouTube. You know I got more love for YouTube than any other platform.
For sure.
How's your love for YouTube?
Oh, man, it's growing. I just started producing, or at least trying to bi-weekly content.
Yes.
I'm trying really hard. So same as my Instagram username, Sprague4Rs. I'm trying to put out relatable videos and long form content because Instagram, you can only go up to a minute and a half, whatever. And so YouTube is so cool because you see the person more. You see how they interact. You see how they go about their day-to-day business and how they treat people. And to me, I'm like, man, that's what makes me is like all this stuff, the conversation I have behind the scenes. So that's why it's so important to invest in it. And I'm realizing it now, like, dude, like, it may not pay off in the short term, but in the long term, this is what people want to see. So you should build this. And if anything, if all else fails, I can show my kids all this stuff when they're born and be like, this is what I did. And that to me is exciting. That's to me worth paying for. Like, oh, in 10 years, I can show, my boys, my girls, whatever I have, this is what your dad did. And this is what he did to get you guys here. And that to me is so exciting.
It is.
I don't know much about my dad and mom's past. I wish they had a YouTube so I could see what they did
Right?
when they were in their 20s. How cool is that?
I totally agree.
Yeah. So that's kind of my perspective. I think it's going to be successful. I think it's going to pay endless dividends. It doesn't yet, but that's what I think it's going to do. Just like yourself, you've crushed it, man. So what is your outlook? You do 2 videos a week, right?
Yeah, at the moment.
At the moment.
Yeah.
Do you want to do more, or is that a good place for you?
I don't want to do more. I don't think more videos does not mean better content.
For sure.
However, I typically front load the first part of my CrossFit Games. I have a clip of me telling you this in the gym.
Yes.
But
I love this clip.
My CrossFit Games is in September, and you're like, what? What are you training for? Like a Spartan race? I'm like, no. I'm killing an elk with a bow in the mountains. You know what I mean? And you're like, oh yeah, season.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my season is all about September. I literally train for elk hunting.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I don't have anything else to train for.
Totally.
I'm not competing at CrossFit anymore. I never was going to be an individual stud. This is my version of the CrossFit Games. And here's the thing. Everyone has their own version of the CrossFit Games they need to train for.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's like, I want to be the best dad. You should want to be the best dad or the best husband. Like, I want to be the dad that came home yesterday a little bit earlier than normal. And I was like, yo, what are we doing? Let's go outside. Let's go. Like, my son worked out with me yesterday. Like, we just walked the dogs. Like, I want to be the dad that doesn't like look for the remote, goes to the cupboard. And I'm describing some of you right now, and it's uncomfortable because this is what you've decided to do. This is the habit you've created for yourself. I want to shatter that mold.
Yeah.
Right. I don't want people to not play with their kids and not be active and not get 10,000 steps a day.
Totally.
If you're not getting 5,000 steps a day, man, like, you're on a fast track.
And the thing is, too, I was talking to this men's group about the other night. If you're not working out, if you're not keeping yourself in shape, people lose respect for you. You lose respect for yourself. Your quality of life is diminished. And so if you're a dad and you're not investing in your health, this specifically for dads, like, man, like, you're letting your kids down, too. Like, be a trooper of a dad. Be a warrior. Go be the strongest person. Don't let your kids think that they can beat you up. No. You be a badass dad, and you show them what they can look up to and what they should be. My dad shared a quote the other day. I was like, would you be proud if your son turned out exactly like you? Like, you should be able to answer yes to that. Like, yeah, your son should choose. You shouldn't force your own habits and your lifestyle on your son in every way, shape, and form. But like, your habits should wear off on them in a good way.
Yeah.
And so
all your best pieces should go into them.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Hopefully. For sure.
Yeah. So building a YouTube for me is taking a long time.
Yes.
And I still don't have it all figured out. And I published a video today. I checked it after the first hour. That's about the time you can get a snapshot of the metrics. And I was like, this video's not doing well, but it doesn't define me.
No.
And I'm really proud of the video that we made. I like it, and that's all that matters.
Totally.
Okay? Now, if I continue to do videos like that, I will not be successful. So I have to learn from it.
Yeah.
Why didn't the audience engage with it? Was it just simply not a good thumbnail? Yeah. Or was it not the right title? That's usually what it is 9 times out of 10, to be honest with you.
Interesting.
Wow. But the actual content, I'm still proud of what we did that day and how we told the story. And it was fast hitting and it had the right pacing, all these YouTube words.
Yeah.
Right. But like, YouTube's an art. It's a moving target, and you'll have to figure out what your audience wants.
Totally.
And that means you'll take risks.
Totally.
And you'll think something's going to do great, and you spend a lot of time on it, and DJ gets all these cool shots and it's so cinematic, and 7 people watch it. Then DJ whips out his phone and vlogs something real on a cell phone, publishes it, and it crushes.
Yeah.
It's just like anything. You can't really predict, but you got to keep trying stuff to figure out what your audience wants.
For sure.
So what do you think your audience wants?
I think my audience wants me to do crazy things in the fitness space. I think they want to see me compete. They want to see me banter. They want to see my friendships that come from this.
Oh, yes.
They want to see what I do outside of the gym to have a balanced life. The golf, the pickleball, the cornhole, the business side that I do. I think this conversation is so interesting because people just don't know this stuff.
Right.
They go, you make money from sponsors? What? And I'm like, yeah, I guess I don't talk about that very much.
That must be nice.
Yeah.
No, not really.
No, I worked my butt off for these opportunities.
Yeah.
And it's not just like, oh, I was really good at this stuff originally, so it came easy to me. No, I worked for 7 years without a single payment and paying my membership fees and paying for my things and taking that shot on myself. So if you want something great, you're going to take a shot on yourself, and it's not going to pay off short term. If it pays off short term, good. I'm glad it worked for you. It wasn't short term for me.
No.
I don't think for you either.
No, my biggest pet peeve, and maybe I shouldn't, like, I'll say it. When somebody new comes over here and like points out something in particular and they're like, did you get that for free? That is like my least favorite question, because there ain't nothing that I've ever had for free.
No, sir.
And I will tell you, like, at one point, I think 2019, I figured out that product is not payment.
Mm-mm.
Like, you give me your product that does not bring food to the table.
Nope.
Like, I need the product to promote. So besides the product, what are we talking about? You know what I mean? And I think that you having an agent, he'll definitely get all that situated and help, quite honestly, I hate to use the word, but weed out the needier sponsors that are on the lower level, and get you the top tier ones that believe in the brand and know what you're doing, so that you can do what you need to do.
For sure. And it comes down to, like, do they believe I'm going to provide them that value too? Like, if they believe I'm only going to provide them $100 a month in value and that's what they can pay me, like, I think I'm going to provide you a lot more value than that. I think I'm going to sell thousands of dollars of Jocko Fuel a month. I think that I can. And I think that my voice is powerful enough too. So if you don't believe that I can, I believe that I can. I don't know if I want you as a sponsor.
Sure.
Like, I believe whatever you pay me and you think is fair, I'm going to tell you, I think that's fair, or I think I'm going to sell you more, or, hey, if they give me a number that I don't think I can sell, I'll be real. Hey, I don't think I can sell that much, but I'm honored you want to pay me that. Maybe we make some structure for competition bonuses, so you pay me that much if I do well enough.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be real with these people.
Well, that's awesome. That's genuine and unheard of in your space. That's great. I think at the end of the day, when it comes to all the business side of James Sprague, none of it really matters. At the end of the day, I think God's got a bigger plan for you.
For sure.
And money will chase you. You'll never need to chase money.
Yeah.
And you're doing great at age 22. Your wife's got a great career.
For sure.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And
she was the reason we were able to buy a house. They didn't like my income. The bank didn't. And I was like, thank God I have a pharmacist wife. This is great.
It's going to be her credit they're going off of and stuff like that. But, you have a really big opportunity in front of you to make an impact.
Yeah.
And impact over everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think you get that at your tender age of 22, man. You have a lot more life to live. But for your age, I feel like I'm talking to a 35-year-old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
That's
you
really cool.
seriously got a good head on your shoulder. We wish you nothing but success, like, really outside the gym. I'm rooting for you outside the gym.
Thank you.
I think inside the gym, you already know what you need to do.
For sure.
Thank
you.
So we're huge fans of James Sprague.
Yeah.
Where can people go watch your vlog or watch your snaps or check out your Insta stories? Like, what's your stuff? Is it all Sprague 4 R's?
Totally. Sprague 4 R's. SPRAGUERRR. My YouTube and my Instagram, where I'm doing most of the posting. Maybe a TikTok in the future. I really like these two platforms. I like what you think about YouTube. From the most successful people I hear in our space that just do the promoting and stuff, it's YouTube. So really, if you guys want to help me grow, go follow those two channels, the Instagram and the YouTube. And always just interact with me. I love responding to your guys' comments. I love answering DMs and just being able to connect with our community. So if you're in the hunting community, you want to know more about CrossFit, ask me some questions, awesome. If you're listening to this and you're a CrossFit person, great, let's connect. Like, let's do it. I want to dive deep with my people. So
awesome. Appreciate your time, guys. James got an active rest to go do, but before we go do that, we got to go shoot a bow real quick, because it is potentially programmed in the Mayhem Classic. He saw one of the workouts could be rowing and shooting a recurve. So we're just going to get him exposure to that real quick. We'll be rooting for you.
Thank you, my brother.
What is it? 2 weeks out?
It's next weekend. So April 5th and 6th, 6 events stand between me and a third CrossFit Games performance. So let's go get it.
Fired up. James Sprague, check him out. Separations in the preparation. Guys, we'll catch you on the next one.